then we've kind of surrounded the whole evening. Thank you so much for coming today, particularly to all you Port supporters who are not watching the footy live right at the moment, but are here instead pursuing the SALA exhibition. I'm Leon Bignell. I'm the local Member of Parliament for Willunga and the wider area down here. It is a beautiful part of the world, and we're lucky to have so many people who produce such great wines, great food, but also great art. And Glenn is no exception there. And I'm sure Glenn doesn't need an introduction to most of you, but it would be nice just to reflect on his career, which was, I guess, a change of career in 1989 when you took up lead lighting, and then that fascination and love of glass was born, and you went on to glass blowing and experimenting, and everything that you do is always pushing the boundaries and trying new things. And this Bits and Pieces exhibition, where, and I'll let you explain it a little bit better, but where these pieces are made and then flown into the piece of art, is a fantastic new form of art for this exhibition. And Glenn, I think you've been involved in every SALA, and it's been going 21 years this year, it's 1998 when it started.
Well, while I've been here, I have been involved, for sure, yeah. And I personally, what I like about SALA is, I'm speaking personally, is I always do new work, and I think that's the beauty of it, pushing the boundaries all the time. I think there's nothing more disappointing than go to a SALA exhibition and you see a painting or something or whatever artwork that's been previously made. It's all right bringing old work back out again, but I think it's really important to make new work for the occasion.
I think the best thing though, and this must be from your perspective as well, is that SALA is South Australian living art. So I think being living is probably a really But I think SALA. But SALA is one of those great things that is on the calendar now in South Australia, and we do look forward to it. We've got to embrace winter and love the fact that we're getting rain for all the pastures and the vines and everything else. But then we have these sort of safe havens and warmth that we can escape to and come and see great art right around South Australia. I mean, this is being repeated in suburbs and towns right around South Australia for the month of August. And I think after 21 years, it's pretty much a bit like the festival being every March and things like that. It's now a part of our calendar as South Australians. It's something to look forward to.
It's growing all the time. I just looking at the magazine, I don't know what it is, 500 and 600 and something different exhibits. And a lot of those exhibits are multiple artists involved. So, yeah, I don't know if you actually named or counted all the actual artists involved. I don't know how many it would be. Thousands, I would imagine. Yeah. And like you're right, you say, just makes art more known to people.
Yeah, so this is the art that you can pick up and admire and touch and feel. But there's also art that Glenn's responsible for that we've been eating. The pizzas, there's magnificent pieces. If you haven't had one, try and get a piece before it all goes. But you are a pizza artist as well. You make those in your oven.
Yeah, we were cooking them last night in the pizza oven, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got some sort of affinity with kilns and wood ovens. I think they're all magnificent.
I think it's a pyromania. Every bloke loves a bit of fire, don't you?
That's right. Now, I remember as a kid just being fascinated at watching someone blow glass, and every time I see it on TV, it kind of looks easy, but it's got to be as tough as, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks easy when you watch people who know what they're doing and do it, but it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to go at, for sure.
So how do you reckon it'd end up with someone like me, never done it before? How much smashed glass would you on the ground?
Possibly smashed glass, but liquid glass on the ground as well. Yeah, because you're working with a liquid medium and it's hot. I think that's the hardest thing with it. It's stinking hot when you try to work it and shape it. So if anything does go wrong, ramifications will be quite nasty because it is so hot.
Well, it's quite dangerous, isn't it?
Oh, hell yeah, because it comes out of the furnace around about 1150 degrees Celsius, so that's hot.
Yeah. Okay, so if you can talk us through, how do we get that?
Okay, right. So the way these pieces are made is, well, I'll say some people disagree with what I'm going to say, but I'll probably never ever be a really good glass blower. But what I do love blowing glass, but I like to not just blow glass the way other glass blowers do it. I like to include my fused glass into my blown work. So that's what this exhibition's all about. So I've pre-fused these little glass tiles, and then it's a matter of when we're making a piece, well, we're looking at this piece, so I'll use this as an example. First process of making that piece is we pick up a piece of white glass, in this case, in that case it would have been a yellow glass, because inside the furnace is just a crucible or a pot of clear glass. So that enables us to make different colour pieces every time you make a piece. So in this case, we picked up a bit of white glass on the blowpipe first, get that hot, and then put a tiny little bubble in it. Then encase that in clear, which terminology is a gather of clear glass over the top of it. Then that wouldn't make a very big vessel, so we have to let that cool down a little bit. Then get another gather of clear over the top of that, and that's enough glass to make these vessels. And then these pieces, these pre-fused components, they're sitting in another kiln called a hot box. So if I picked that up cold, that would crack. So in glass terminology, keeping glass warm is at 500 degrees Celsius. So
most of us call that very hot.
Warm, yeah. It would certainly cook the roast really good and burn the pizza. So that's sitting at 500 degrees. So I arrange them in the hot box. I arrange them in a length so that the circumference of the piece covers that length. So it's a matter of making, I suppose you'd make a sausage first, and you make the diameter of that sausage equal to the length of these tiles that I've laid out. And then while that piece I'm making is hot, and these pieces in the hot box are pre-warmed at 500, when you roll that glass over the top, they will pick up or stick to that. And then as you then blow the vessel, they fuse in and grow and exaggerate and distort as the piece blows up and gets bigger. And one of the hardest things with blowing multiple colours like this is you'd think at those sort of temperatures all the glass would react at the same, but it doesn't. There's a huge difference between hot and cold, as in black and white, they react completely different. So that's why these pieces are really, they want to go wobbly. They don't want to blow out straight. And to me, that's what I like, because it looks like it's handmade, basically. Yep. And it's I'll go back to where I was coming from. It's incorporating my fused pieces of glass, as in the fish plates and whatever else I do. Yeah, so in my nicer work, I try to incorporate the fused pieces into the plain stuff.
Glenn, how do you get the different colour rim around?
Well, that's called a lip wrap. So while you're making the piece, the assistant, which is the guy standing by the door there, Mark, he gave me a hand making these pieces. He will heat up another piece of glass, and when this comes off the blowpipe, the diameter of the opening would only probably be about that round. So another piece of glass is preheated, then put in the furnace and got really hot, and then while that's hot, you can virtually wrap it around the rim.
So is that a strip or?
Yeah, well, it ends up like a sausage, I suppose. Then it just, because both components are hot, as soon as two bits of hot glass touch, they stick straight away. So it just naturally wants to wrap itself around, and you cut it off with some scissors, and then because going back to it was only that diameter, as you're reheating, the colour just fuses in and just grows and goes with it.
It's amazing.
So I guess the biggest piece of glass we've got in the area is the Darrenburg Cube.
That's
and you made the bench tops in there for the bars. And what do they look like for those who haven't been there? And how did you do that?
Well, that's similar to doing this type of work, as in slumped glass. And when Chester and I first got together, well, obviously we're trying to work out what he wanted to do, and he was hell-bent on having glass in the bars. Then I showed him some previous work that I'd done years ago, which incorporated putting foliage into glass. Now, not all foliage works. Some does, some doesn't. And to my knowledge of just experimentation from it, it's to do with the natural salts or chemicals within the foliage, whether they fire into the glass or not. As in, the grapevines seem to work. I had a client one time that was hell-bent, they were up on the range, they wanted to use foliage from their property, and they had oak, elm and ash trees, so we got some of their foliage, tried it, and it sort of left a slight impression, but if you really didn't know, you'd just say, oh, there's a bit of texture in the glass, you couldn't tell what it was. Where that one there, you can see there's a branch in that actually happens to be the tea tree outside there. So not all foliage works. Gum leaves seem to work well. Those little platters over there, they've got the grapevine technique, the same as what Darrenberg's has got. And it was really quite an interesting experiment in the fact that they're done from, I've got a little vineyard on my property, and the soil on my property is clay over limestone. The foliage from those vines, when it fires into the glass, it leaves quite a white, or it can leave quite a white or etched look in the glass. When I did Darrenberg's, we came up with the concept in autumn. So you need the foliage. So when we decided to do it, all the leaves were falling off the vine. So my vineyard didn't have any leaves left on it at all, so I couldn't use the foliage from my place. But one of Chester's winemakers, Julio, he's got a property at McLaren Flat. And I didn't realise that how much variation there is in different grapevines, and there's a huge amount of difference. So anyway, Chester was hell-bent on having, he's got 4 bars up there. Each bar had a different grapevine on it. So Shiraz is one of the first to lose their leaves, so we did that first. Then there was some other weird name, some Nagar or something or other. We did that second, and then it was Cabernet Grenache. Because they were the last ones to lose their leaves. So that big kiln of mine didn't get cold, really. So every night I was going up to Julio's place, cutting vines, taking them home, putting them in buckets of water, putting them in the lounge room by the fire so they didn't wilt. Coming in, so it was about a 2-day cycle to do it. It's amazing.
Only bloke in the wine region to go picking leaves instead of grapes.
With beer in his hand.
Well, see, if you've got a beer in your hand, it saves you cutting your fingers with a secateurs.
Good safety tip. Good safety tip.
Of health and safety.
Now, Glenn, you would have had a lot of help in putting this exhibition together. We just want to thank a few people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, I've got to thank off the Slaters for being involved with us in here. And just looking around the gallery now, I think, I'll speak for myself, but I reckon the group of artists we've got now and the level of the work in here is absolutely stunning. How these guys drive a paintbrush and do what they do, I just got no idea, but some of the work's absolutely stunning. I've got to thank the family for giving me a hand cooking pizzas last night. And enjoy the opening. And of course, thank you for yourself for taking the time to come and open the exhibition.
No, absolute pleasure. And I think it's been fascinating for many of us to actually just hear how the process works, as well as seeing the exquisite works, just to hear the stories behind them. And the only thing that can make these works look even better is a red dot next to it. So make sure you dig deep. Now, I've got one of those orange bars. I reckon I've had it home for about 12 years or so. And you will never ever forget where you got that piece of art from and the connection. And now that you've heard Glenn's story and how he comes about to make these. So I think it's terrific, and gives me great pleasure to officially declare the Bits and Pieces exhibition officially open.
Cheers. Everyone help yourselves to something to drink, and we've got some pizzas to eat, so